That is Jess.
Hey, everybody.
And Mama K.
Hi, everyone.
And tonight we are doing Killers of the Flower Moon. Killers of the Flower Moon. Martin Scorsese film. Have we done one before? We did. We did Irishman, right? Way back. Just me and...
Oh, God. I didn't see it, but I already know to say, oh, God.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know Martin Scorsese's more famous, larger, older works? Just if I told you his name, would you be able to name a film of his, perhaps?
Negative.
No. Okay. Well, okay. How much Martin Scorsese do you know before I, just give
I mean, the required amount.
What's the required amount to you? I mean, he's been working. He's the 6-7 decades of filmmaking. Probably, I don't know. I don't know how many movies he's made. I have not seen them all, but I've seen.
No, I feel like the sweet spot of this. I was not as a child watching Martin Scorsese movies, so it was probably the sweet spot of like the 80s and 90s. And then once I had kids, I couldn't go to the movies, so I didn't see any of that stuff. So, yeah.
What's the most famous? Just Wolf of Wall Street. Jess, there you go. That's I'm thinking of like.
Oh yeah, I liked Wolf of Wall Street.
I'm thinking of Shutter Island. You've probably seen.
Oh yeah, I like Shutter Island.
There you go. I was like,
you've either seen it or lived there. Brennan has done both.
Yes, they say that I lived in a place. Other famous things, obviously, Raging Bull, Taxi Driver, Goodfellas, Casino, Gangs of New York. I'm just Departed. These are probably the biggest ones that the common folk.
Oh my God, I only like one of those movies.
That's insane. All right. Well, this is a very lukewarm reception so far. So I don't know if I like how this is starting. But Killers of the Flower Moon. At the turn of the 20th century, oil brought a fortune to the Osage Nation, who became some of the richest people in the world overnight. The wealth of these Native Americans immediately attracted white interlopers who manipulated, extorted, and stole as much Osage money as they could before resorting to murder. And that's what this movie's about. I don't want to get into any of the details because it's a little twisty. There's some surprises and stuff in it. So if you haven't seen, did you guys know anything about this going on? This is a huge movie. I know we're kind of pushing around it, but this is the start of Oscar season, in my opinion. This is the start of the Prestige pictures.
I agree. It's start of the start of Oscar season. I think I remember seeing the trailers just because the Native Americans stood out to me. I can't remember what the trailer was about or how the trailer went, but I do remember Native Americans, and I'm like, okay, that's something I like. Maybe I'll see that.
Native American, that's right. For those who have not listened along, every time Native American, that's a hook for Jess. It's a common theme in many of her. What do we got? Wind River, Cold Pursuit, all kinds.
Oh yeah, Wind River's so good.
Wind River's the best. Okay,
Did you just say Wind River and then Cold Pursuit? Because
I'm just thinking of Native American related movies that we've reviewed, and we haven't reviewed Wind River, but we should, because I could talk about Wind River forever.
I don't know if I can watch it. It seems too much.
But you like Yellowstone.
It's
the same. It's the same guy. It's Sheridan, I believe.
Yeah, Taylor Sheridan. But
that's so good. The last 30 minutes of Wind River is amazing. Anyway.
Your question to Jess was...
No, the question to you now. She already answered. She saw a trailer and kind of knew what it was about.
Right.
But she saw Native Americans. She's like, that's good enough. And then you?
Yes. I'm going to agree. Yeah, I'm going to agree with Jess that I saw a trailer and I thought, okay, yes, thematically, yes, Martin Scorsese-ish, probably not. I do want to beg to differ with both of you that I believe Oppenheimer was the beginning of Oscar season. So,
but what? All right, so what's come since between this and Oppenheimer? What's name one other Oscar movie?
Barbie.
Saw 10.
Saw 10 and Barbie. All right, well, I think that answers us. So if you haven't seen, no further questions. If you haven't seen Killers of the Flower Moon, it's in theaters.
I feel like Brendan's just going to talk through this. We aren't even going to be able to be on this, Jess.
Yeah, Barbie and Saw 10, Oscar, the other two.
Okay, if you haven't seen it, we're going to spoil it. That's where you were.
Yeah, I know. If you're ready to see or spoil it. There's things to spoil here, too, and it's a big thing, so go see it if you want to do that. It's got, high reviews. 90, I didn't even say it. 92 Rotten Tomatoes. It's got like 84 audience, 8 point something IMDb. High scores. It's a Martin Scorsese film. Come on now. All right, now we are going into spoilers. Movie starts with Osage elders. They're burying a ceremonial pipe. They're mourning the assimilation of their culture into white American society, and so it's a bit of a tone setter, sad, somber, but then we cut to the good old montages. You know, I love montages, and we are getting the information that this Osage reservation is full of oil. There are head rights that come along with that. The U.S. government had to cut them a break eventually, right? And so it results in this small nation of Osage people being exceptionally wealthy in this smaller area, and so they can't, unfortunately, they are not allowed to access the money themselves per se. They have like guardianships, white guardianships. So there's guys like one of our characters, William King Hale, who's kind of like a friend, in quotations, to the people of the area, and helps facilitate them with their wealth. And we are introduced to our principal characters. Ernest Burkhart is our main character, Leonardo DiCaprio. Coming home from the war, his uncle is King William King Hale, and he is looking for work in town, and he becomes smitten with Molly Burkhart, who is she becomes Molly Burkhart. Spoiler, whoops. She is got the head rights. She is one of these wealthy Osage members of the town, and she's got wealthy sisters and wealthy family, and all of a sudden, in this town, murders start happening. A lot of Native Americans are getting murdered, and accident, melancholic, she had it coming. A lot of things like that going on, and it takes a long, long time before anyone notices from the government and for anyone to do anything. So it's mostly us watching hours of these white devils manipulating,
literal,
and then it's a courtroom drama for the last 45 minutes, I'd say. So that covers Killers of the Flower Moon. Who wants to start? Does anyone want to start? I'm not starting, just to let you know, but one of you has to start.
Just after you read the synopsis, I just keep going back to Pocahontas. If you remember, like, Pocahontas' dad, the chief, keeps saying, "These white people are dangerous." It's definitely the same thing.
I would say Pocahontas slightly more simplistic film than Killers of the Flower Moon. Just a little bit more on the nose.
There are similar themes.
Sure. There are lots of similarities, I suppose. But all right, Jess, you've started. Why don't you continue? What did you think of Killers?
It was way too long, and way too slow for me. There's so many times in the movie I was just like, when is this over? Like, this is so long. We've been sitting here for so long. Like, honestly, 4 hours, because it was a Friday night. We got there at 6:40. I didn't leave the theater until 10:30. It was so long. Probably longest I've ever been in the theater before.
Did you know going into it that it was 3.5 hours long?
No, I did not look at the time.
You both didn't look? How did you both not look?
Because there is no reason to make a movie that long, and then when it ended up being that long,
his last movie was 3.5 hours long.
No reason.
And there's like so many scenes that could have been cut. It's not even like you needed everything, or it was hard to decide what you didn't need. Half of it could have been gone. So I think my biggest complaint was it was just so long, so slow, so many awkward stares of these old people just looking at each other. Yeah, like these stares that I know these film geeks are going to eat up and think that was just so funny or so good that I'm just like, oh my god. Like,
probably not funny.
Finger in my mouth. I don't know. It was definitely not a Jess movie. I feel like the only reason why I'm not going to completely trash it is I did like the Native American aspect of it. But if there was any other culture, or if it was just all white people, there's no way I could have sat through that.
All right, well, it sounds like most Martin Scorsese movies then, not for Jess. It sounds like you don't need to go back and see the ones that you missed.
I feel like that's not surprising.
No, it's not. It's not. I don't know. I thought you might like this, despite its length, because you've liked a couple other long things before that were we sat through Avatar. You liked Avatar, and that was
Oh yeah, but Avatar is engaging. Like that's
okay.
like,
All right. Well, there we go.
cool.
There's the okay. I thought you would find this.
It's
engaging.
also like an hour less long.
It isn't though. I don't think it is. I'm pretty sure Avatar 2 is also like 3 hours and change.
Avatar had a lot of cool things to look at. Like
It was
it
bluer.
didn't have as many cool. Yeah,
It was way
this was
bluer.
all like tan, gray, and white. Those were just all the colors I remember seeing. And when the house burned down, I guess fire. But that's it.
Yeah. All right. Avatar had more color. All right, Bob. Okay, what'd you think of You Killers of the Flower Moon?
Scorsese should just start making his movies in color instead of black and white.
So, I swear it's in color in film.
It is in color.
I don't know. My memory is black and white.
So this movie was long, and I did not bring my phone to the theater, which I don't think that's happened ever.
Risky.
Oh my god! Did you have a watch?
No, I had no idea what time it was. Like, I had no idea about the passage of time. All I know is at some point, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, I feel like all these people in this theater, like, we're now a group of people. Like, now we've melded and we are, somehow
we
all
are
related.
Killers of the Flower Moon.
Like, we are this town.
Might
We've
be.
lived here long enough together.
Right.
We're not the same group of people that entered the theater. People have born and died.
Absolutely not. We are all together, one tribe at this point. And it was kind of those like, God, what area code am I in? I don't really know. And this happened like probably during the beginning of the courtroom scene. So we're talking about 3 hours have passed already when I realized this movie's really fucking long.
You didn't realize till 3 hours in.
Did you?
Well, the thing is that I was engrossed in the story, and the storytelling was. I was engrossed in the story, and this is not, contrary to many times when we review a movie, I didn't know anything about this. This was not something I learned in history class. I don't know that it's something they're teaching in history class now. So when there's this, this native nation gets all this money from having, oil on the land that they've been all pushed to. They've been pushed to from all the neighboring states. I mean, everybody hears about the Trail of Tears in Oklahoma. That's how they got there. So many, you're looking at like 10% of the people who left all of their nations are now in Oklahoma, where still nobody wants to be. But and they, this happens, and now they have oil in their land. The American government somehow, I still have no idea how, those people allowed, quote unquote, this to happen, to let the natives, have, even having guardianship of their money, have this much money. I mean, they're all driving around in cars. They've got white people as their, as the people that are working for them.
That's actually one of the things I kind of really liked watching, is the perspective of the white people being like the servants, or the maids, and like the Uber drivers,
chauffeurs, and stuff like that.
Ye olde Uber driver. That's what Leo. He's literally. They called him cab drivers back in the day.
Right.
Before
it felt a little like I was in like Squinky Squonky land. Like, this doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand what's happening. So, but because the storyline, and I think, Jess, that's probably what would have pulled you in, because of the native piece of it. And the story was interesting enough. I didn't know anything about it. The thing was, the movie was so long, I still felt like I had to grasp in the first 30 or 40 minutes that I had to make leaps in my mind about what was actually going on. It wasn't really spelled out about how this happened and how, I mean, he does everything almost metaphorically, like they're, burying the peace pipe, and as they're burying it, they strike oil, that can only go so far for me. I'm like, stop doing that and just tell the story. If you just tell the story and stop showing, first of all, I saw it in IMAX. Oh my God.
Okay.
Leonardo DiCaprio's face in IMAX
Wow.
was just so fucking big, and his teeth were so bad, and
His teeth in
like,
this.
even in the beginning scene, you can see he's got like that one dead tooth in the beginning.
yes. And I'm like, I'm trying to reconcile this with, the other Leonardo DiCaprio that I know. So, great story to tell. Really interesting. I want to talk to you later about, I'm assuming it happened on non-IMAX movies where Martin Scorsese actually starts the film talking about how he had the full backing of the Osage people, and they were actually completely integral to making this film happen.
Yep.
I want to talk later on about why that happened. But
why that happened?
The story. Why he did that piece? Like,
okay.
Why did he put that piece at the beginning of the film? Interesting topic. Some things took too long. I agree with Jess about staring at people's faces for a long, long time.
Oh my god, the stares.
In IMAX. And yeah, it wasn't the worst 3.5 hours at the movies, and it could have been.
It's a very strange way to put that. All right. I don't know if I could really, like, this is really great. It's amazing. It's so wonderful. I'm like, is it 4.5? Is it 4.5 or 5 stars? That's what I'm between on that. It hit all my expectations, beat them all down. It's way better than I was looking over that list of movies. It's my favorite movie of his since, like, Gangs of New York, like a really long, like 20 years.
And you love Gangs of New York.
I love Gangs of New York, and I love, like, King of Comedy. Mine are all over the place, but this could be in, like, top 5, maybe top. It's too early. I got to see it again, obviously, but not long enough. I was never. I didn't check my phone ever. I went to the bathroom and I looked at my phone when I went to the bathroom, like, to see that, like, but like in the theater, I didn't ever want to look away from the screen ever. Like, I never felt bored or meandered. I was on board, and it was just wonderful. It's cinema, baby. Like, this is what I look for. Like, this is a movie. I'm watching it. I'm sitting there. I'm like, I'm just so taken care of. Within the first 5-10 minutes, the opening, everything, just the tone setting with the pipe, and then montage in, and he just warmly takes you onto the train, and Leo's sitting there, he's nasty, and he goes and sits down with Robert De Niro, and they have their 5-10 minute conversation, and I'm just already in it warm.
Girls.
I'm already just kind of already warmly in it. The soundtrack is wonderful. Last soundtrack by
Robbie Robertson.
Long-time collaborator, recently passed, and it's gonna, thank God, because it's good, or thank God he passed, thank God it's so great, because it's going to be up for Oscars, and it's
he'll win it.
He better. It's so, I put the whole soundtrack on my thing, and it's my walking around the dog, the neighborhood right now, the doom, 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 doom. Oh, that motif's going through my head all the time.
I don't even remember any music.
You're really disappointed me tonight, Jess. I mean, sometimes you're ready to go, but like, I'm just like you're not gonna, like, I'm gonna mention things, like, I'm just gonna mention parts I love. Like, remember the guy when he was having that rousing speech, and he was like, and he's like the Midwestern-y talking Native American guy, but he sounds like, just like, he has like, oh, we're from Missouri, and it kind of like talked like that, and he's like,
I do like that. That's kind of cool.
We're never again gonna bury our babies here, you know, and they throw us off, and and he did that for like 10 minutes, just uncut, just like a guy talking. I'm like, this is fucking riveting. It's so good. There's like 20, it happens like 20 times, scenes like that, where I'm just watching it, engrossed, edge of my seat, like, in the hands of just a master filmmaker, and I just swept away. I was swept away. I loved this movie. I loved it. Why didn't you guys love it?
I didn't feel compelled, but those speeches to me felt really weird. They felt strange. They felt like the guys who were doing them were like, oh, I'm supposed to say these words, and I'm looking off to the side, and everything feels very stilted and weird. And
we're able to, like, so like the story, the core story is like, it's Ernest and his uncle, and they're like the uncle presents as the king, the kindly man who's in charge of the whole town, and everyone knows him. He does favors so lovely and kindly, but and then we slowly learn throughout the thing that he's the bad guy, but we learn it slowly. Like, you know it immediately, because if you've reasoned out your head what happens in American history, you kind of figure it out. But if you don't, like, if you're just looking at it like a story, you find out slowly. You find out Ernest's involvement slowly. Like, it's all doled out, you know. I think good storytelling beats. Like, Molly like all the stairs you guys are talking about, the things that I'm eating up apparently. Like you see it from the beginning. Like this town is like a boon. It's everywhere else has been taken from them, but we have this, and then slowly over time they're getting replaced. Why is that? We're dying off, and then more and more trains of the White Devils keep showing up, and that the filmmaking. When I'm sitting there and the score is going and they're looking at me, I'm just like, I'm dying. I feel like Molly's feeling. It feels so effective for that middle 90 minutes or so where the sisters are being killed off and the little favors are being run around town. Like, I just don't know why this wasn't pulling you guys. You're watching Molly.
Can I talk about my least favorite part of the movie?
I suppose.
The least favorite part is a character, Molly, because she starts off, we start off getting to know Molly, and I think she's a strong character. It's like she's coming off like she's almost a protagonist. She holds a family together. She's independent. She's like got everything going for her. She's a smart girl because she doesn't seem to fall for Leonardo's ways. Then she becomes stupid, and then she just...
She becomes stupid. Like, what was she? I don't know. What do you mean she becomes stupid?
She does get a little soft as soon as she gets married to him. I mean, it's before he even starts poisoning her.
Like, so strong and like a role model or just someone more interesting. And then her character just withers away into literally nothing. Like, I was waiting for her to have this triumphant redeem herself or catch Leonardo DiCaprio and in his lies or something. But she falls for it. She says nothing. At the very end, all she does is acknowledge that he was poisoning her. And that's it. So I thought she had more for her. I was really looking forward to getting to know this character. And the more that I saw how she was literally getting weak, both in her mind and in her body, and not doing anything about it, that pissed me off.
I don't know what she's supposed to do, though. She hired the private investigator. I mean, and then we saw what happened there.
She went to Washington.
Yeah, she went to Washington when she was sick, and they brushed her off. I don't know what she's supposed to do.
But she
her
knew
family's
that
all
he
dead.
was
Like, she has no
poisoning her.
support system.
I mean, I'm not writing this movie. I'm sure there's something that she could have done, but
this is based on a real events. I mean,
nothing.
they can't do. I've read it afterwards, like as much as I could, and they did pretty close to real life as they could.
Right. I mean,
I'm just disappointed in that character. Thought she was going to be a strong female lead, but she ended up being a weak one.
Well, I don't think
she was weak.
I don't think the person the person you're
was.
describing, I don't think exists in reality is the problem. I don't think a Native American woman in this time could have done anything. Like, anything she would have done would have probably just gotten her killed anyway. Like, what was she gonna do? Like, what would she do? Like, all of her sisters and her mom are killed off in any way, like with a brush to the shoulder. Like, she can't go to cops, she can't go to doctors. She has to say she's incompetent every time she enters. Like, she starts a sentence basically. Like, they don't even think she's a person. Basically, she's just above property. Like, she's wealthy property. It's
right. Really. I mean, the only time that we really see her being really strong, I think, is at the beginning when it's the very first part where she's, sort of vetting Leonardo DiCaprio's character. Otherwise, she is just like all of the other, Osage people at the time. Even though they're all getting all of this money, you still have to go to the bank and pretend you're an idiot and, kowtow to the white man in order to even have access to what the government has deemed to be rightfully yours. So, I mean, I think that there's a strength in her that is at the beginning with the character, and she's meeting Leonardo. But there's also the other side of it that exists together at the same time. Even then,
I think we're also missing too. Like,
obviously,
it's her husband too. Like, it's her like.
That's the problem I have, actually. It's
okay,
like,
all right, that's fine.
Well,
go ahead.
Well, and it's not a problem. It's really not a problem with the movie. I mean, it's probably a problem with the movie only because it's a problem with history and the story. But, at what point do you stop your Indian women from marrying all the white men in town? It's like, I realized it didn't seem like there were very many Native men who were not either they were old and chiefy guys, and you can't really think that they're going to do a whole lot. You want them to, but there wasn't a whole lot of like people her age that were just, that were there, the men that were there, and what. Yeah,
it was only Henry.
R.I.P.
Yeah, and Henry was an alcoholic. Henry was going to die one way or another. I mean, sadly,
but again,
it was another.
But it's the sad scenes where, like, you see, like, that's another one of those, like, when I said there's like 20 scenes in here that pierced my brain when I watched them. Like when Henry's in the doctor's office and the two doctors are like, he's like, I'm really hurt and I don't know.
That was awful.
And they're just like, just get a little whiskey on it. You'll be fine. Like, I'm just like, this is the fucking most disgusting, horrible thing. Like, it's just, it's right. The best horrifying thing to watch. Like, it's great tragedy. It's just like, and then the king comes in and he has to console, like, oh, you doing okay? Like, it's gonna be. And he's just like, I just need my whiskey king, please. And he's like, you take care of yourself now. Like, oh my god, it's just heart wrenching. That's why I said scene after scene of that kind of stuff. Like, I could just keep watching it.
Oh, I couldn't keep watching. It was too heartbreaking to keep watching, honestly. So, this is like a blip on the radar, and these people's like, they had everything for such a small moment. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Such a small moment.
Like a couple decades, and not even.
No, not even, because this was after World War I, which ended
1919 is when this kicks off. So yeah, this movie spans basically like 6-7 years, something like that.
Yeah, and she's dead in the 1930s. So
yeah,
and that's we're not even getting that far in this movie. So it's not. I mean, it's a 5, 6, 7 years situation. Even though some of that math didn't math for me either. Because
there's a lot of age math that doesn't work. Like the real king wasn't 80 when he met.
No, he was like 45.
Yeah, exactly, he was in his mid 40s. So like, because then like after the movie, they say like King, he went to jail and then. Weren't spoilers. He goes to jail and then gets released and then dies in like a retirement home like decades later. Right. He dies after what's her name from diabetes. Right. And the other guy dies in like a trailer park, Ernest, because fuck him. And so it's just like they took some liberties there with it. I don't remember where I was going with that part. There's something with King.
Because I was saying like sometimes the math doesn't math sometimes in the movies, so that you have to kind of just not look at that. Like when they have their kids and all, and like
it's always the kids, and I'm like, all right, what year is this?
It's true. I don't think about the kids too much, but yeah, I mean they all have the kids too. Yeah, that's a good point, because the one kid dying later is like the spurring, the straw breaking moment.
Right. I'll go through, which is interesting because kids died all the time back then. I'm not saying that people didn't feel about it.
So that's another thing I wanted to get you, because like this is a good type of movie where you're watching it and you're just like, thank God. And I say this to you all the time, just thank God we're fucking alive now. Like, thank God we are not alive any other time. And like this.
You want to be better if we were born now?
Yeah, exactly. If I were born to fucking tomorrow, and then people are like, well, what about all the future problems? I'm like, we're gonna figure it out, because we always have, because we just keep doing it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna bet. I'm gonna bet we figure it out. And yeah, you want to go to any time from before? Anyone saying they want to go from before, it's when they were like a teenager. It's not like because the time was good, it's because they were young. So like, if you want to go back to whatever decade, like no one now would go to the 1880s, but maybe someone in the 1920s was like, oh yeah, 1880s were great because I could walk and not sit in this chair all day.
Right. It's not because they didn't have cars.
No, I'm
that's
sure
not the reason it was great.
This is the whole time, and that's another thing when I'm watching Molly's decline, and like at certain points he does get a little Gus Van Sant avant-garde when there's the fire burning outside, and it's like brown.
Oh yeah.
And Leo's sitting in the room and she's hallucinating. Are you real? Are you real? And oh God, watch. It's Leo's character's the fucking worst. Like, I think Hale, people will argue, is the worst because he's like kind of Satan. Like, he's like in charge of everything going horrible and like presenting himself as kindly. But Ernest pissed me off more because he's so stupid. He's so gullible. Yes, he thinks he's like I'm just helping and he knows, like, oh, but I shouldn't be giving her this, but the king says it's good for everybody. Like, he's fucking, I just hate that. I hate that word.
He's so
I hate that worse than actual evil. Actual evil, I understand, because it's intentional. Like, the king I get as a person. I don't like, I'm all turned around. I was just your cab driver. I don't know why I'm killing everybody now. Like, shut fuck you, Ernest.
Yeah, but it literally feels like everybody else in that movie is like that. You know what I mean?
That's how people were forever, though, which is that's why I don't hate King, because even though he's evil, he has a fucking brain that works.
Oh, I hate him.
Yeah, but he's compelling.
You don't set him aside because he's a smart man. I mean, he's a terrible person.
No, he's horrible.
And he deserved to die in jail.
Yes, he's the worst. He's the worst person in the movie like that. But Ernest, I hate more as like a person watching because he's more frustrating. Because
he is.
Because King he has goals and he achieves, and like he doesn't achieve all of them, but like he has an agenda and things. Ernest thinks like, I just want to gamble and drink and fucking fuck around and whatever. Like, I get my money. Like, he just sucks. He just sucks.
Yeah. How many times does he say I love money?
I love money. Women almost as much as I love money. Like that's like fuck you. Like this guy sucks. Like, he's useless.
And he really thought that his uncle was going to take care of him until the very end, where he had to sign that thing. He was kind of like, "Oh shit."
I did too. Oh, I did like that where he was. When he was like, "Yeah, just gotta sign it." That was super Scorsese.
Yeah,
that reminded me of so many Goodfellas scenes. Where like, "Yeah, it's fine. Just." And the guy's like, "Oh, sign it, huh?" Like, yeah, it's fine. You know, just taking care of it. Just put it down.
Well, I like when he's like, "Just sign it."
That's where he actually got a little smart and was like, "Wait a second, something in my gut says this isn't right."
Something in my belt.
Something in my gut. Yeah, something in my gut says it's not right. But hey, tell me some weird story that I can listen to for a few minutes that makes no fucking sense, that I don't care about, that also could have been cut from the movie, and just sign the goddamn document.
See,
like,
if that's how I understand you feel that way if you're like just checking your watch. But if you're like me, I want the deleted scenes. Like, is there an extra half hours on the cutting room floor? Because I feel like I'm getting shortchanged here. I could do a little more story.
Listen, if you want to tell that much of the story in that dedicated of a time frame, you make a fucking mini-series about it. That's the problem I have.
Scorsese won't
make
do
a
that.
mini-series. Yeah,
actually, you're so right, Mama Kate. This would have been a way better mini-series.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, you're wrong.
This is what Yellowstone could have been.
This is what cinema is.
You're so right.
No, wrong. Yeah. Absolutely not. That's fine.
No, because cinema didn't used to have to be 3.5 hours long. Why does it have to now be 3.5 hours?
There's tons of movies from the past that are 3.5 hours long.
Listen to me. Back in the day, a 2-hour movie was too long. And now we've gone in such a short period of time, I feel like 5 years or so, that everybody feels like they have to make these movies that, you know, eclipse every budget you've ever seen before. And not in the case of this movie, but in case of most movies, goes cinematically in a crazy, you know, we're using AI bullshit stuff and to make a movie. This doesn't, I'm not saying this.
Now you're starting to sound like old lady shouting at a cloud a little bit, but all right.
Well, no, but I don't understand why we have to sit for 3.5 hours. We need to be watching this at our house. I mean, no. I feel like your generation would understand that 100%. But they don't want to be sitting in a movie theater.
Mm-mm. There was something special. When I sat down and watched this, first of all, I sat down in a loaded theater, full audience, Saturday matinee. So it was contemporaries of Mr. Scorsese. I was definitely the youngest person in the audience. I sat down in the middle of an aisle of elderly Italian women. When I sat down, I said it smelt like I sat in the middle of an Italian sub. Like, it just reeked of like deli meats and oil. And I looked around me, large purses with foil furrowing out of the tops of the zippers. I'm just like, all right, just a bunch of old ladies eating their hoagies next to me, and they were not enjoying the trailers, but they were enjoying the film.
That's pretty funny.
Did you guys see a trailer for Saltburn?
No.
I don't remember.
We'll talk about that later. Let's do the last half hour.
Your brother saw it. Well, hold on. Your brother saw it. We're going to talk about trailers for a second. Your brother saw it with us, and we only saw 2 trailers, and he was just like, I see like 6 or 8 of these in Boston.
Yeah.
Why are you only seeing 2? And I'm like, because we don't have time for this.
Oh, no, we get 25 minutes of trailers minimum. And we get commercials now, too, which sucks. I don't mind trailers because I like to see what's coming. But when I get just like a VRBO commercial, like, fuck off. Come on now. Anyway, let's go to the last.
Kelsey.
We've got to the tragedy part. We'll go to the last little bit. It becomes a courtroom drama where I guess famous people wanted to get some cameos in. We get some John Lithgow and Brendan Fraser. Jesse Plemons is in the last third too. By the way, Jesse Plemons.
Oh yeah. Because when I was watching this, I was like, okay, this is a bunch of awkward stares and white guys.
You know who's coming.
Best is going to come into... Yeah, I know exactly who was coming. I'm like, oh, this fucking guy, like...
No
his
one
face
awkwardly stares like Jesse Plemons.
Yeah. This is just his whole family here. Like, he's just late to the party.
I'm picturing the scene of the movie. Jesse's sitting in the theater. It's been 3 hours. She just wants to go home, and then the door opens, and Jesse Plemons pulls his cowboy out, and she's like, God damn it, another hour of this thing.
I know, she stands up, she's like, this
the
fucking
most
guy?
awkward stare, awkward guy. Like, that's just how I've only ever seen him be that character in anything that I've watched.
He's the best. I love Jesse Plemons. He's so wonderful. I've seen him in enough.
I feel like even if I had a conversation with him in person, had lunch with him, he would just stare at me, like, blankly and just say a few things that don't make sense. Like, I just think that's who he is.
It's not impossible, but he plays it well. And I don't know if it makes a difference to you in your mind. Originally, Jesse Plemons was cast as Leo's character, and Leo signed on to be or Marty wanted Leo to be the sheriff guy at the end, and like, oh, that's like the big reveal. Leo comes in at the end of the movie, but then he wanted to be the main character instead. So they switched.
That's true.
I feel why would Leo be a small character? I don't know.
Because
he doesn't want to be, obviously. But
no, because I have the answer to that. Don't you know the other part of the story is that
I don't.
The actual book is more. I mean, it's definitely about the Osage people, but it's more about the beginnings of the FBI, and so that character in the book is actually a much bigger character than Leonardo's character.
Is that part of?
I can't remember his name.
Ernest, but I
Ernest,
think if we're gonna, we can maybe dovetail then, because was that what you were saying at I heard this movie had some rewrites and like went through some changes, and like it was closer to the book originally, and then after Martin Scorsese spoke with Osage people, like basically got like tribe head council members of like present day, he got some rewrite and like notes basically, and now the current form I think adheres more of like an ensemble piece, where the other one probably focused more on FBI, and like this definitely has Molly and like some of the other indigenous people more prominent probably.
Right, and it's really more about the actual killings. I mean, this is a story about Molly and Leo's character and the king and all of that, but the other one's really more about the killings, and
it's more procedural.
This kind of skirts a little more procedural, but it just skirts this one, skirts over. There's a lot of blame, I guess, that goes on King, but apparently these, there were at least 20 murders. They're thinking up to maybe 100 murders. And
I've read hundreds.
So many people were involved in this. It wasn't just these characters that, And also, I have a question. Where do they find these dudes that look like they have been run through a meat grinder backward to be in cowboy movies? Because they are scary as hell.
Probably just ex-stuntman, man. Are you talking about the guy with the one eye who has to do all the shit killings? And then he gets...
I'm talking about everybody that has... Yeah, anybody that is like... the guy when the still gets blown up or whatever, and the guy's just sitting there with the gun on his lap. I'm like, I know you from every cowboy movie I've ever seen. Like, literally.
Yeah, that one guy... They that's what people were back then, too. Just like an old guy sitting in a chair. He's probably been staring forward for like 14 hours.
Of course he's been
What else would he do? There was nothing to do. Like,
you
but
just
why is he sitting there?
Like,
it's
no
been
wonder.
like 3 days since whatever happened. What is he actually protecting? Like, there's nothing left. He's just sitting there and just...
There are all those
waiting to shoot a squirrel for dinner, or what?
There's good little character nuggets like that too, like the guy who's sitting at the table, and Jesse Plemons comes up to him later on. He's like, and the dude's like, "Well, they're gonna come for me, but fuck yeah, it's my time. Like I'm gonna tell you exactly what it was, and I seen it. I was sitting right here." And then he tells like his whole little story. There's a couple that was one of those, one of those ones where it's like,
wait, was this Kelsey or was this the straggler? This was Kelsey.
Kelsey,
yeah. I think that was his name.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad.
The dark-haired guy, right? That looked a little normal for the time frame.
Oh, that guy. Yeah, that guy. I forgot about him.
Yeah, he's the guy who turns I don't know if he turns first.
Stateside, yeah. He's the one that they first get, how they get Ernest, and then the last 45 minutes is procedural, and it boils down. There's moving parts, but it boils down to this: is Ernest going to confess and in so doing implicate the king, and he's going to go down basically. And Ernest is like the final linchpin, the weak link, and he's not going to. He's going to hold up and go to, and like try to. What is it? He's gonna take the king's side until his daughter, who is his daughter with Lily, Lily Gladstone is the actress, with Molly.
Yeah.
And so that's when we get that's when he finally decides to not be the biggest piece of shit, and at least say like, oh, like, no, this was me, this was king. Like, he does kind of the right thing finally, a little bit, and then they have their final little scene together where I'm all done with my lion, except not quite, because he was poisoning her the whole time, and even if he doesn't really know what's going on, because he's a dumb man, he knows there was something wrong. He might not know what was really happening, but he knows something was wrong, because, yeah. So,
well, he knew when he put it in his drink. I mean, that's when they had the crazy
scene. That's a good point. I forgot that's what led that scene off.
No, I think he knew. He very well knew the entire time.
I think he knew the entire time as well, and I think he was just like,
but it's one of those
pretending like, I don't know what's going on.
It's one of those
I'm just doing what you're telling me.
If you don't dig hard, like if you don't think about it, it's plausible that you didn't know. Like it's choose to not know kind of thing.
No, they definitely straight up told him like, just do a little at a time, so it just looks
slow her down a little bit. Is what they said.
Yeah, it's just gonna slow her down. And he kept saying, "This is just gonna slow her." Why does she need to be slowed down?
Just gonna slow her down. Just slow her down a little bit.
Where am I? Who are you?
I like Brendan Fraser's thing. Like, I just saw him in The Whale as last time I saw him, like, prominently. And, like, he's like, you see him in, like, a couple of quick flashes in the courtroom and you wouldn't even think he was there. And then his first thing is he stands up and does this big, boisterous, like, oh, look, fucking kangaroo court, out of order shit. And I like that.
I know.
And then John Lithgow has to just get up like, oh, objection, this is not what we were at. And then it becomes, like, a giant, like, kangaroo court for 5 minutes. I'm like, oh, we just had 3 hours of somber horribleness, and now it's kind of fun to watch the actors be kind of silly for a few minutes and be like, oh, squabbly. And I don't know.
Yeah. But then it goes right into that scene where it looks like a crazy painting from like 1787 where it's very dark and there's all those people that are...
The room where it happened, you mean?
Yeah, it was totally Hamilton-esque,
Skull
right?
and Bones. This is that secret white club where like 200 white people decided the fate of humanity of all time. That's the room.
Yeah, like the Masons, because that's where it was.
The other
the
billions
Mason
of us
Lodge.
have all been just doing whatever they said for all of time, and that's that little room. It's just got leather chairs, and it's got Brennan Fraser yelling at you, and you know,
it's got the wife going, I don't want my husband to go to jail.
That's why we all do it. We do it all for them. We do it all for that room.
Doesn't it make you mad, Jess? Doesn't that just make you like...
That makes me so... That's what I think... If she had a stronger role, or if she was smarter, or stuck up for herself, or was just... That's what probably pissed me off the most, was... She had so much potential, they led you on, and be like, oh, this is a smart, independent woman, and then she's... Nothing.
Look, Jess, I hear...
Nothing.
I feel like, though, she was just being... It was, her... Everything was being taken from her piece by piece. It wasn't just her and her health and all of that, but her family was just being taken from her piece by piece. And it was, I think
I agree.
That...
Or maybe if we even saw more of her, at least talk about it or think about it or things from her perspective.
Yeah,
but it was just kind of like, I don't know. She literally withered away.
I guess at a certain point, like she, like you gotta like think, oh, like how are we gonna play the scenes out? Like early on in the movie, there are a couple scenes where like she's talking with friends and like, oh, like he's cute kind of thing. But like in the halfway point, she can't do that. Everyone's dead.
There are no friends.
She's 3 times as sick as she already was, and like she can't, like she can barely walk, and like I hear your complaints and like I wish she was stronger, but I think given the constraints of her time, she's about as strong as she could have been. Like going to Washington when you're in that state, being the last sister alive, and like just surviving your husband's poisoning, and like the cops won't believe you. Your private investigator's gone. The doctors don't even think you're a person. Like I think she did the best she could.
I don't know. I was expecting her to be witty, like
Just
knowing what the poison was.
You think you could have done better?
Maybe
you think you could have done better? Is that what you're saying?
Maybe I would have.
Oh.
Jess is a strong woman.
I am a strong woman.
You'd be Anna. You'd be shot in the ditch because you were too much trouble.
Yeah, that would be. That's the other sister. That's like the.
Yeah, you saw what happened to the boisterous, loud, opinionated sister. She was the first to go, and
but she wasn't even smart. She was just a drunk.
Well, because the doctors probably told her like that other guy, just be a drunk because we want to take your money because we're horrible.
We don't want you to be sad. Sad is bad, but drunk is good.
I let the phraseology was it. He's a melancholic. He's just.
I loved that.
It's romantic in like a they didn't know how to diagnose mental illness back then kind of way. like it's like
and the fact that he's just a big representation of the whole situation.
Dude, he's he's the best metaphor. Henry is like the best metaphor.
Yes.
And that was another thing. Like, I know we're running long, we're closing up, but like the metaphor of like Leonardo, I love you so much. I'm the white devil giving you a hug, and she's the native person. But like also, I was thinking back to one of my favorite movies, Mother. Like it's a Mother Earth man like human scenario. Like. You don't love me. You love all my money and stuff you love what I give you. You don't love me. Like
right.
It's like oh, we love the planet. Like, do we love the planet or do we like the pictures we can take and the food it gives us and like all the shit that we can build with it? Like, do we like the planet? Or do we just like all the stuff we get to do with it? And that's the kind of thing here. Like, does Leo love his wife or does he like all her stuff? I think he likes all her stuff.
No, she says it. Like, she says it out loud.
I did tear up at one point, though, in the courtroom when Ernest realizes he's a piece of garbage, when he was like, oh, no, I didn't plan this from the beginning. Yeah. I was just her cab driver. And that did make me tear up, where I'm like, you fucking idiot. You didn't do that. Like, you didn't have to do this. You didn't have to do it. Like, there were other ways.
Well,
I know you're an idiot,
I know.
but...
Well, that's the thing. They set him up as an idiot. If he would have been a stronger character coming in, but they set him up, right at the very beginning. They were like, you were a cook in the army, and well, cooks are important too. Somebody's got to make the meal for all those soldiers who will go out and defend us and get killed. So, they set it up perfectly. Robert De Niro's family are just stupid as hell. Like,
But they got the hustle.
And why? Yeah, they have the hustle to be,
and
crooks.
They got charisma because people like them.
Easy to manipulate.
Yeah, and that's the thing again. Back then, like if you're a guy like the king, like we said before, like people didn't know better back then. You didn't know. You were born in a hut, and if you were born in a hut like on the plains, and then like your dad died, and you were 10, like that was it. Like, all right, where do I go now? There's nothing around me. Do I just keep eating the things on the ground? Like that was it. That was life forever. So bad. It was so terrible. I'm so grateful to be alive now.
You're welcome.
Same.
I'm so grateful. I'm grateful for everything every day. I say, like, oh God, thank the Lord I'm not any of these people.
That's what the movie gives you.
We'll close with they do a little pull back the camera thing at the end. Marty chooses to do like a radio show production where like they kind of do the epilogue. That's where we find out the fate of our main characters. As unfortunately, we find out that the justice is not exactly given fairly. And Marty is one of the people speaking, the director, Martin Scorsese, if I have not made that clear. At the very end, he gives Molly's real life obituary, I believe it was, and and it had no mention of the murders. Wanted to make that clear. Like that did not define her life. Is I think,
but she did live a long life, right? They said she lived till 50, which was like a longish.
She lived to be 50, I think. But I mean,
but Martin Scorsese's character lived to be 80 something.
You mean Robert De Niro's character?
Unfair. Oh, sorry.
In the beginning, they were like 50s, kind of like the highest life expectancy. So it's not like she was less than average.
And probably for a native person at that point, it was probably.
That was another part of like the sickening like scenes I would watch. It's just like you can't eat white people food. Like she has diabetes because like her their bodies aren't used to all the shit that we had. Like they weren't integrated like well. Like 500 like not 500 like hundreds thousands of years of like genetic separation like messed us up. Like or not messed us up. You know what I'm saying? Like they we they were not ready. Like no wonder like they're like all the wasting diseases. Like I understand like the planned demise, but also just the general we brought disease. Like we like there was just no way. The tables it was a stacked game from the beginning.
Agree.
Very sad. So, Killers of the Flower Moon.
Wait, why? Before, I want to go back to the beginning. Why did Martin Scorsese have to put that disclaimer at the beginning of the movie?
What, like the thank you for coming to the movies? We worked really hard on it?
Right.
Yeah, everyone does that
But
nowadays.
it was also, we worked really hard on it, but that we had to do it. We did it with, I mean, because what has happened since then is that there has been like inklings of outrage, mainly from non-native, non-Osage people about this movie. And it's like
everything I've read from native or Osage people about this movie has been pretty glowing. Like the worst stuff has been like, I wish it was more Osage centered, but like that's like they're just like it's an accurate, good, like positive depiction. Like is what.
Well, and they've had to come back and basically say like, okay, be quiet, white savior. We got this. Like, calm down.
We need to save you.
I know, and it's like we put our stamp of approval on this. So I think that I'm wondering if that kind of blowback happened, and then he felt like he needed to put that on the front of the movie.
Oh no, I don't think so. And I only say that specifically because I've seen this director gives an intro thing a lot recently. Like that, this is like the 5th or 6th.
Oh, okay.
Like they did this before Mission Impossible when I saw it. They did this before.
Yeah.
I think they did it before. I can't remember if I think they did it before Oppenheimer. I think they did it before Barbie too. Like they do this before big movies. Like a creator or the big actor or whatever, the big person of the movie will come on the screen and be like, "Thank you for this. We tried to tell a very whatever story." Blah blah blah. Like.
So all of you whiny people, shut the hell up.
It's not. I think it's more of like if you're going into like this movie and you know who Martin Scorsese is, and you're like a film go, and you're like, oh, Martin's there. Like this already puts me in a good mood to watch this movie. I think it's some of that. Like when I went and saw Mission Impossible, it was the director and Tom Cruise sitting there, and they're saying we worked really hard on this. All the stunts are real. Like I feel like that puts you in the mind space when you go into the movie. Like I'm gonna maybe like this a little bit more. I'm sure it's market tested.
I'm sticking with what I think it is.
Not convincing me. But does your narrative fit the other scenarios, or does it just fit this one scenario?
I think it fit. Well, the thing is this is a post-COVID situation, and I think that that's part of it, is that people have to say, we were very careful during the filming of this movie, and we were, this, and it's not, part of it's about stunts, but part of it's also about, like...
I think you're thinking it's virtue signaling, and I think it's more just basic marketing. I think it's less sinister than that.
Sorry, I'm old. Virtue signaling.
It's not virtue signaling. People aren't just going, look at me, I'm a good guy. That's not what this is.
Well, I don't. Yes, I think it is. So,
do we recommend Killers of the Flower Moon, Jess?
It's way too long. I can't recommend.
What are you gonna recommend to watch the best parts and clips on TikTok in a few months, maybe? The way Marty Scorsese loves to have his movies watched.
She recommends it as a 3-part miniseries.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, Killers of the Flower Moon.
I absolutely recommend it. This was a really good movie, and the fact that it was 3.5 hours long, and I really didn't feel it as much as I thought I would. Yeah, it's a good movie. Maybe a great swan song.
This is no, this isn't it. He's got more. This is.
I'm all done. I don't want to see any more.
Hell no. We got Ridley Scott coming. We are not even done with old directors bringing back big epics. We are not done. Yeah, this is a great kickoff to Oscar season. A huge recommend. Beat my expectations. It's been a great year in movies. I've got multiple. My top 5 is already all 4.5-star movies or better. That hasn't happened in years. I am pumped, and we are only in October. So.
Oh my God, Jess! The end of the year is going to be so good.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dude, we there are things that I haven't seen that I'm like that I still think could be top 5. Like we are missing things. There is so much. We are in prime time, baby. This is good stuff. I'm sorry you didn't like this, Jess, but we'll do better next time. So 2 recommends, 1 not recommend for Killers of the Flower Moon, and stuff, right? Streaming something, maybe. What's the next big prestige thing in theaters? You guys know off the top of your head? I should, but I don't, so.
No
I
idea.
don't think I know the big one now.
Yeah, it's on me. All right, well, I'll figure it out for you, and just keep an eye on the feed. In the meantime, if you have things to recommend to us, not really the time of year we usually get to that stuff, but probably in January, February, and March, that is the time of year we get to that stuff. Films with the Women in My Life on Facebook. Reach out to me on Instagram. I'm Brennan_podhost. And you can email the show, filmswiththewomen@gmail.com. Thank you guys for being on Killers of the Flower Moon.
Thank you.
And I'm proud of you, Jess, for making it through this.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Not
I needed someone
podcast.
to give me a pat on
No,
the back.
I didn't think you would see, like, I was totally prepared to just do me and okay, and then you were like, I saw it. I'm like, that's all. That I didn't even tell. Like, I didn't even really tell her to. Like, I mentioned it in the group chat, but you wouldn't saw it.
I
you didn't even like it. You saw it. That was very nice. Anyway, till next time. This is Brennan signing off, saying thanks for listening and enjoy your movies.
Your movies.
Your movies.
Thanks for listening to Films with the Women in My Life. If you enjoyed being a listener in our life, please rate and subscribe on Apple Podcasts or on your favorite podcast app. Keep up with the latest from the show on Instagram at Brennan_podhost, on Facebook at Films with the Women in My Life, and on Twitter at FilmsWomenPod. Finally, you can email the show with questions and suggestions at filmswiththewomen@gmail.com. Original music for the show was created by Ian Burke and Chris Iwanek. Original artwork created by Nicole D'Alessio. This show is produced by Brennan Snyder. Thank you again for listening and enjoy your movies.